When he said wicked fast, some eyes lit up over to the right side of the stage. Did you notice that?
It's wicked fast.
Hey, it's Chris. Just when you thought that Apple's Scary Fast event had already laid all its cards on the table, I'm here today to help you go through all of the unsaid details, the hidden stuff, the things that you had to read between the lines or research later. And now I'm not talking about stuff like the old school orange iMac that made a cameo in the background, or the fact that the new MacBook Pro wallpaper spells P-R-O, or that Apple still showcases the iMac being used on a kitchen counter in its promo material. I'm talking about the hidden details that you would actually like to know, useful stuff. Some of it controversial maybe, all of it interesting. I'm sure you're aware by now that the new Mac Pros have a new space black color option. But I'm guessing a lot of you didn't realize that it only comes on the higher tier MacBook Pros, the ones with the M3 Pro and M3 Max. That's right, if you're hoping to get the base MacBook Pro, you're gonna be stuck with the space gray, which means that, at least for now, that new space black with the anti-fingerprint finish is gonna remain a bit of a status symbol. My main question for Apple is, can we please get that same finish for the Midnight Blue on the Air lineup? Because I love the color, but wow, it picks up fingerprints. One thing that Apple didn't mention at the event is that we're probably about halfway through the current MacBook Pro's design cycle. Typically, the MacBook Pro design lasts about 4 years on average. There was the unibody design from 2008 to 2012, the Retina design from 2012 to 2016, the Touch Bar from 2016 to 2021, and then the current M1 or M3 design that started in 2021. So if you end up buying this admittedly gorgeous, really well-designed machine now, then you probably have about 2 years before you start feeling like your MacBook Pro's out of date a bit. And if that's the case, if you can wait a couple years, maybe you want to. All right, let's look at the tech specs a little bit, because now we're gonna get into something that's a little controversial this year, and that would be the memory, the RAM. See that 8 gigs there of unified memory? That's the controversial bit there. The entry-level 14-inch MacBook Pro this year only has 8 gigs of RAM. Now, when you realize that the 2015 12-inch MacBook also had 8 gigs of RAM many, many years ago, then nobody's really gonna blame you for feeling like that 8 gigs seems a little bit outdated, especially at that $1,600 price point. I mean, you need RAM for efficient multitasking, and these days, even casual browsing can consume a pretty good chunk of your memory, and these are Apple's Pro devices. Now, just for some perspective, because I always like to layer in some context when I present you with this kind of information, the 13-inch MacBook Pro that this one is replacing had only 512 gigs, and it had chunkier bezels and fewer ports. So keep it in mind. Still a pretty good deal, especially if you like that Liquid Retina XDR display. Speaking of multitasking, it's all about squeezing the most out of what you've got, whether that's 8 gigs of RAM or 24 hours in a day, which brings me to something I'm genuinely excited about. In my course, Learning to Be Productive, you'll master your digital domain in the Apple ecosystem. As these people know, because they've already tackled everything from email management to ensuring that their devices work seamlessly together. My course is a roadmap through digital chaos. It's aimed at not just helping you do more, but doing what's right efficiently. It's perfect for busy people, so if you're ready to transform your productivity, then check out Learning to Be Productive, which is 30% off for a limited time, linked up down below. Now, let's unearth some more hidden details from the Scary Fast event. The new M3 MacBook Pro has 1 fewer USB-C and uses Thunderbolt 3, not Thunderbolt 4. And get this, the M3 can only connect to 1 external display, not 2 like the M3 Pro or even the M2 Pro. And actually, if a multi-monitor setup is a crucial aspect of your workflow, the M3 Max is the only chip that allows for a 3-monitor setup. Now here's a detail that I think shocked a lot of people when they realized it. Apple, of course, has been busy upgrading everything in the ecosystem to USB-C. iPhones, iPads, but not apparently Mac accessories, because the Magic Keyboard, Magic Trackpad, and Magic Mouse all still come with lightning cables. I mean, it seems like this event would have been the perfect time to refresh those, but it looks like if you're going all in on the Apple ecosystem, you can see my setup from recently that I just uploaded a video about. I'm still using the Magic Keyboard, Magic Trackpad. I love the Magic Mouse. Then you're still gonna be juggling having multiple cords. It's kind of annoying. With the launch of the new MacBook Pros, the 13-inch MacBook Pro is now officially a goner, and gone with it is the last iteration of the Touch Bar. The Touch Bar enjoyed a 7-year run, didn't enjoy a lot of love, although I was one of the rare people, I feel like, who said, you know what, I don't mind it that much, it's not that bad, which I know is not the default stance, I get it. But funnily enough, Apple continues to file patents where the entire keyboard becomes a touch surface, so if you didn't like the touch bar, you may not like the future. Sort of funny though to remember that Apple hailed the touch bar as a revolutionary feature back in 2016, but here we are in 2023 and we're back to using tactile old school function keys. Now, nobody thinks of the MacBook Pro as a cheap laptop, but every year I'm always interested in what the price would be for a maxed out MacBook Pro. And the ceiling just went up this year. Last year, you could get a maxed out MacBook Pro for $6,500. This year, if you go with the M3 Max, 16-core CPU, 40-core GPU, 48 gig unified memory, and then you add in all the upgrades like 128 gigs of unified memory, which is $1,000 all by itself, and 8 terabytes of SSD for another $2,200, you're gonna max out at $7,200. All I can say is, if you need that thing, I hope your savings have been practicing yoga, because they're about to get stretched. Now, if you did place an order for one of the new Macs, a detail you might have missed is that there's gonna be a day one update from macOS Sonoma, so as soon as you take it out of the box, you're gonna wanna do a quick little pit stop in the Apple menu so you can make sure that that beefy new M3 chip is all in sync and ready to go. One detail I want to point out too is if you opted for the M3 Pro or Max this year, the base models of course are ready to go right out the door on launch day, but if you upgraded your chip or if you upgraded your storage or your memory, then you're probably going to be looking at a delivery date of late November already. That's how it goes. So as is the case most years, and it can be excruciating if you're buying one, if you're in the market, you got to find the sweet spot between power and patience. Now, the final detail that I want to point out is something that came towards the end of the event. It was when Tim Cook said, basically, it's been a remarkable year. That's his way of saying that the Scary Fast event was probably the last Apple virtual event of the year. So if you're holding out, kind of hoping for one last event because the thing that you wanted to hit didn't hit, maybe the iPad mini, I know, I'm disappointed too. Whenever that thing comes out, I'm gonna be drooling, I'm gonna be all over it. I'm dreaming about it. No more events for the end of the year. This year is baked, it's set. Nothing else coming down the pipeline, probably. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you found some interesting, important, good details that will help you make a good purchase decision. If you haven't yet checked out my very in-depth, beginner-friendly, non-techie friendly video breaking down the different M3 chips, the M3, the Pro, the Max, and which one is right for you and your budget and your needs, check out the video I uploaded right before this one. Because, if I say so myself, it did a pretty decent job of explaining all the technical jargon about the chips and what you're actually getting when you upgrade and pay more for your money